Replicon Radio is brought to you in part by Alexa X-Master and the Shadow Army.
Why are we doing?
We made noises that made P confused. Oh, I did it again.
That's alright. I made a noise too. Hey man, what's up? We're back. We're here. Shout
Hello.
out to motherfucking Gibby Stites.
Motherfucking give it the motherfucking sticks.
We're back. We're here. We're doing it. It's Replicon Radio.
Hello.
Hi. Just a reminder, man. This Saturday we're going to be in New Haven, Indiana. Time for This Week in History.
Today, 17 years ago in 2004, you get a car. Everybody gets a car. Oprah Winfrey gave away 276 brand new Pontiac G6 sedans, one to each of her audience members. And, wow, that sentence did not go on very well. Sorry. Oprah had told her producers to fill her audience with people who desperately needed the cars. And as the realization set in for each of the audience members, just pandemonium broke out with like crying and screaming and fainting and, but the euphoria was short-lived once everybody started realizing and finding out that their quote-unquote free car was more like a 75% off car that came with a pretty hefty federal and state income tax bill that averaged out to about $6,000 for most of the winners.
Yeah, they had to pay a sales tax.
Yeah. Well, and 2 months later, they would wind up doing another huge giveaway to the teachers around the country that equated to about $13,000, per winner or whatever. But they actually learned from the last time with the car situation, so they handed everybody a check for $2,500 to help cover the tax bill, which covered most of it, but, there was, a lot of the winners also owed taxes, so it didn't cover all of it.
I mean, I was okay at math, but I don't think $6,000 and a $2,500 check, I don't think that covers most of it.
Oh, no. $6,000 was for the car. That was the.
So she just handed out $2,500 checks to other people.
No, that was 2 months later when they did another giveaway. They were giving people $13,000 prize packages, and they handed them a $2,500 check to cover their taxes. I don't think they ever went back and covered everybody's taxes for the car.
You get a car. That was the first time they gave away cars.
Yeah.
I mean, usually you just write that down as a gift on a check, and then they have to take care of the taxes.
Taxes are going to tax both parties. You can't escape the tax. Taxes is ruthless.
Because taxes.
Fun fact:
stealing.
Oprah didn't even pay for the cars.
One person could pay the taxes on that money.
Well, Pontiac here. The fun fact is that Oprah didn't even pay for the cars, and they were donated by Pontiac, which covered the sales tax and the cost of the car, and they donated them. But the state was like, yeah, sure, but that's considered like income or some shit. I don't know how they did it, but I know that they got hit with income taxes because it was considered a monetary income. But it was an ultimate advertising ploy to try and increase sales on the G6 for Pontiac. So that, I mean, it was it was marketing. It was a fucking lie, like I've been saying.
Like a G6.
Nope, everything's a lie.
G6. Is that all you have for today? Because lots of things happened today.
The Notorious B.I.G. released his debut album, Ready to Die, in 1994.
That is true.
I mean, I'm not going to... I mean, you can tell me your stories for today. I try to do kind of one...
Well, that was one of them.
I do one or two stories
and then
for
exactly
each
3
day.
years later, Tupac Shakur was assassinated.
Would you really consider that?
I don't think so, because I did
That's what they called on the internet.
I did that
so
a couple...
that was being gunned down in a drive-by shooting.
That's not true, because I did it like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I already covered Tupac getting shot.
He got shot other times. This is the one that killed him.
No. That was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I covered that. I covered
Tupac
that.
died in September, bro.
September 13th.
He may have died, but he died like 5 days. He died 5 days later.
Yeah, but this is the one that stuck.
Yeah, this is the one that killed him. He died in September.
It's the one
and
that
was
kept.
shot 3 days prior.
25 years ago in 1996, on September 7th, Tupac was shot.
Yeah, 1996 he was shot.
Yeah, and
in 96.
Yeah, he died 6 days later.
On September the 13th.
Yeah. So he didn't get shot. He died.
Well, yeah, whatever. He died.
But I covered that last week,
This is
sir.
the day where he got
I don't know
Well,
if
he
you
died
were
exactly
listening.
3 years after the release of Biggie's
That is true.
Ready to Die record. And also today in history.
Ooh, what
Fun-
else? Ooh,
fun
what
fact.
I like fun facts.
Well, you're talking about television.
I like fun facts.
Pee Wee Herman's Pee-wee's Playhouse debuted in 1986 with the first episode, Ice Cream Soup.
Ooh.
It ran for 5 seasons, picked up 22 Emmys, and people still to this day are begging for a reboot of Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Well, speaking of
didn't they start that before? They started that.
It was like on HBO or something like that, but it was like a play.
It wasn't it wasn't HBO, but it was one of the channels that everybody gets.
Yeah,
Speaking
I remember that.
of going back to childhood, children's programming, did you see that Steve from Blue's Clues made the entire internet cry?
I did.
It's like, why you gotta come in like that, man? We've had it hard enough the last year and a half. Why you gotta come in like that?
He was, he told you he looked good, shit though.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
watched it. I never really fuck with Blue's Clues was before, like after me.
I
knew about it, but I didn't really.
I was in the
watch it.
older spectrum of that.
So
like
I was even older than that.
Yeah, like
So
I
it's
was. Like it wasn't like it was just on. Like it wasn't something I was like, oh my god, Blue's Clues. It was, but I did watch it because it was just part of the programming. Because you didn't have a lot that 9,000 fucking channels back then.
The only way I know what Blue's Clues is because I used to watch a show called Yes Dear, and there was an episode where Greg thought he was the dude that played, I guess, the guy, the human guy or whatever.
Steve. Well, there's Steve and I think Joe. I don't know. I think they had a third one.
I don't know, the main one with the striped shirt.
Yeah,
There's-
that's the guy that just showed back up.
That's probably Steve.
He went out for smokes and came back 20 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so they had an
Dad came
episode
back.
of that on there, and then I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Who's
and
that
then
guy?
I found out it was actually a real show. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
That's funny.
I like crossovers. Back in the day, on September 14th, 1814, writer Francis Scott Key wrote a poem titled The Defense of Fort McHenry. This poem would later be set to music, and in 1931, it would become America's national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. The initial poem was written after Keyes had witnessed the Maryland fort being bombarded by the British during the War of 1812. The following morning, Keyes was inspired by the sight of a lone U.S. flag still flying over Fort McHenry at daybreak, as reflected in the now famous words, "And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that their flag was still there."
It's our flag was still there, not their flag was still there.
That's our flag.
You said there, but
Our flag was still there. I said there at the end of that.
you said their flag. Was
Our,
still
their
there.
flag, I said our. It's written down here if you want to read it.
I mean, we can go back and check it out after we end
Pull
the
to flag,
Oh,
P
say,
flag the
can
audio.
you see?
No, not copyright flag. Different. Let's see. I had no idea this song was this old, but 66 years ago, Little Richard recorded his famous song "Tutti Frutti"
Oh, Rudy.
at J&M Studios in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Tutti Frutti.
Now, would you know who sang that
Oh,
song
Rudy.
if you didn't look it up?
Yes.
Tutti Frutti. Oh,
On
Rudy.
September 15th, back in 1978, Muhammad Ali defeated Leon Spinks for a unanimous 15-round decision to win the World Heavyweight Championship for the third time in his career.
He said, "A wop bamba loo bop, a wop bamboo."
Yeah, he did that a lot, and his head got that a lot, too. That's how he got that Parkinson's.
Speaking of boxing, today marks the history where Holyfield went back to boxing yesterday, or his fight was this weekend, and he lost. They stopped the fight with a minute 40 into the fight because Holyfield looked like crap and just got the shit kicked out of him. On his defense, though, he only had like a week or two to get prepared for the fight. But yeah, so if you paid the pay-per-view to watch that fight, you kind of got fucked.
Well, I mean, the same kind of goes for Ali. He retired a year later in June, but then he tried to make a comeback 2 years after that, but was defeated twice. He permanently retired with a record of 56 wins, 5 losses, and 37 knockouts. So if he wouldn't have tried to make that comeback, he would have retired with only 3 losses.
He said, "A wop bamba loo bop, a wop bamboo."
That's exactly what he sounded like in the later years of his life.
Got a girl named Sue.
28 years ago, on September 15th, 1993, Meatloaf released one of the greatest love ballads of all time with I Would Do Anything for Love, But I Won't Do That. The song would go on to be number one in 28 countries. And a fun fact, the thing that he won't do for love is what he states in the line before every chorus, that I'll never stop dreaming of you every night of my life. That's what he will not do for love.
What?
He's not going to stop dreaming of you. He says it before every chorus.
Does it?
Mm-hmm. Fun fact. September 16th, 1620, the Mayflower set sail for the New World with 120 passengers aboard. Half religious douchebags and the other half were entrepreneurs. They were originally due to land in Virginia, where they were authorized to settle by the British Crown, but due to stormy weather, along with navigational errors, they wound up landing in Massachusetts, where they founded the first permanent European settlement in New England in late December.
Wop bambaloo bop wop bamboo boop.
In 2014, on September 16th, Barbra Streisand released her album Partners, and it went on to eventually hit number one, which made Streisand the only artist to ever have a top album in 6 different decades. Fun fact.
Shout out to Barbra Streisand.
Mm-hmm. September 17th, 1787, 38 out of 41 delegates signed off to approve the Constitution of the United States of America during the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. The document was not made binding, however, until 9 of the 13 required states actually ratified it, which didn't happen until June 21st, 1788. And it took until March 1789 to put the United States government under the rule of the United States Constitution. Fun fact on that, the United States Constitution is the oldest written constitution in operation still today in the entire world.
For now.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, that's a fun fact, but it's also like, y'all need to like kind of rewrite that shit, because like it doesn't apply to the world today. I mean, I know we still go by the basis of it, but you know, it's very outdated. So I don't know if it's something to brag about that we're still using the oldest written fucking constitution in the world, but yeah, whatever.
At least it doesn't say wop bop baloo bop wop bamboo.
No, that's in the fine print. It's on the back page.
It's a little asterisk.
Yeah.
Next to everything. At the
Yeah, that's what
bottom.
Nicolas Cage was trying to find in the hidden ink. Let's see. We spoke to this man's great grandson back on June 21st. The great Hank Williams was born September 17th, 1923 in Mount Olive, Alabama.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Shout out to Cole.
Coleman the Four. I like that you put the fucking lyrics up there. Tutti Frutti.
Wop bop baloo bop.
Thanks,
wop,
Heather.
bamboo.
Love that algorithm boosted comment.
Hell yeah.
Fuck
What up,
yeah.
Emily St. John?
Oh, fuck yeah.
We're learning history right now.
Hello, Emily. September 18th, 1987. 2 thieves broke in. Okay, this is kind of a heavy one, but it's also like a 2 thieves broke into an old abandoned radiotherapy facility located in Brazil. And they stole... What?
Sounds like the start of a joke.
They stole an old cancer therapy machine. And the 2 thieves wound up selling it to a local junkyard for, you know, scrap money and all that stuff on September 13th. And 5 days later, workers at the junkyard dismantled the machine, which in turn releases a substance called cesium-137. And that was still inside the unit. The workers were fascinated by the blue glowing stone that they just found, and so they distributed it in pieces to their friends, their relatives, and neighbors, and you know, anybody that they thought was cool. They're like, all right, cool, here you go. You have this cool glowing rock that we just found in this machine. Well, what they didn't know is that the blue glowing rock was actually highly radioactive, and they just essentially poisoned the entire town with radioactive contamination. 4 people actually died from it, and the exposure left hundreds of others hospitalized, and more than 100,000 people had to be like quarantined and closely monitored for contamination. It actually wound up spreading out so far that radiation contamination was later found over 100 miles away, and over 40 homes in the city had to be they were so contaminated they had to be demolished.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was a oopsies. Thought it was cool. My bad.
And just like that.
No, and finally, American rapper and actor Exhibit was born in 1974 in Detroit, Michigan.
Happy birthday.
His real name is Alvin. And that's This Week in History.
Alvin, Simon, Theodore.
No, it's Alvin Nathaniel Jr.
It'd be a lot cooler if his name was literally Alvin Simon. If my last name was Theodore, I would totally name my son Alvin Simon.
You got to. You got to.
You think somebody's done that? Has anybody done that? There's gotta be. I wish I knew. Do you know a person named Alvin Simon Theodore?
No, I know it's time to go.
You know a person by that name? No?
Boost.
Boost Mobile?
No.
Hell yeah, y'all. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the show, man. Hope you checked out the Gibby Stites interview. Shout out to Gibby.
Emily, you tuned in on the segment of This Week in History.
That's correct.
Also, the end of the show, unfortunately, so go back and check out our 2 episodes that we just premiered tonight.
And we'll be back next Monday, September 20th, with Jericho. Make sure you guys tune in for that one. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And we'll see you guys Saturday in New Haven, Indiana for Nasty Bash.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, YouTube, we're out of here.